So are you ready, Debbie? Sorry. There you go. I was like, I didn't know if I missed your hand. Thank you. Okay. Well, good morning. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Thank you for hanging with us with our technical difficulty. We'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9:06 a.m. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 866-914-607#. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on a best effort for the public. Our meeting is also live streamed, and you can join us online by going to our website. Live stream is also available at tctvonline.com and click on live broadcasts. Today, we are having a bit of a challenge with the TCTV, but this will be broadcast as soon as we're able to make that happen. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to the public comments email on our website. I apologize, I didn't have my microphone on. The technical stuff just continues.
This is a bad technical.
But the good news is most of you know everything I just read because it's every week. Okay, so public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email public comments by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners Office, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon, 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. Do we have anyone signed up in the room, or is anyone registered online for public comment?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, fabulous. Okay, we have called to order, so I'd like to welcome all of our guests in the room. Thank you for being with us. If you have not yet done so, please sign the guest list on the back shelf there. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Bell, would you lead us today? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have no public comments. We have one agenda item that has been postponed. Agenda item 16 has been postponed. Okay, so we'll move into our presentations and reports. This morning we have employee recognition for May of 2025, our continuous years of service. Mackenzie Weir, Human Resources, is with us this morning. Good morning, Mackenzie.
Good morning. The most exciting part of the month is the beginning of the month when I get to present employee recognition. We started in March, for those of you who may have not caught on yet. So after this meeting, I'll send out a company-wide email so everybody can help recognize these people who have dedicated years of service with Toma County. So for the month of May, we have Jeff Underwood with 23 years, Courtney Remington, 11 years, Carol Miller, 10 years, Matthew Stevens, 9 years, Talia Valencia, 8 years, Lisa Mills, 6 years, Alice Goddard, 5 years, Nicole Baldwin, 4 years, James Duncan, 3 years, Rob Buckingham, 3 years, Carolyn Douglas, 3 years, Kayla Martin, 2 years, Jessica Wilson, 2 years, Wyatt Tuttle, 2 years, Bill Bell, 1 year, Becca Rudd, 1 year, Gretchen Eggert Shively, 1 year, Dan Kais, 1 year, Joseph Salzman, 1 year, Larry Rommel, 1 year, Kelly Caton, 1 year, and Trevor Dameron, 1 year. We have a total of 22 for the month of May. So we just want to thank these employees for their continuous years of service. I do recognize a couple names had the year left and come back. So we started their time from when they returned, and some of these people started as part-time and were promoted to full-time. So just continuing them for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Questions or comments, commissioners?
No, thank you. I'd just like to echo your thanks to our employees for their excellent public service, for their terrific work. I love this recognition and being able to look at the list and reflect on every people's contributions to the county. And Jeff, who just came up to troubleshoot for us, and 23 years is just invaluable to the county, as is everyone on the list. And I was thinking about Lisa Mills, who's been here for 6 years. She does such good work, and I encounter her in the hallway regularly, at least a few times a week, and she's unfailingly kind and just wonderful to work with and to be around. And there's just I'm thrilled that we're celebrating the 1 year anniversary of Dan Kais, who's the Tillamook County Parks Director, because as some folks know, I was the interim parks director before we got Dan, and I was so grateful that we got Dan, and he's just done an outstanding job. And there's 4 other people on here from parks. It's just terrific. They have a strong crew now. So I'll pass this list down, but it's really, the county is the people who do the work, and so it's a joy to be able to celebrate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. I share my colleagues' comments. We just are super thankful. The county is not the kind of place, and I'll probably say this every month, we don't make widgets. We provide services to the public, and those services are provided by every single person who's on this list. And so when we say that the employees are at the heart of the county and really are what makes the county work, we mean it. So thank you to everyone for sticking with us, whether it was for 1 year or 23 years. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Okay, we will move into our legislative administrative agenda, item number 6, which is consideration of a resolution in the matter of proclaiming the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Tillamook County. We have Amanda Farrat, the lead of the Tillamook County Suicide Prevention Coalition, and we have Sarah Irmer, and prevention coordinator for Tillamook.
Prevention specialist.
Specialist, thank you. I didn't have your name on here. I was guessing.
I like to
New
keep you on
title.
your toes.
Thank you. Keep me guessing. We've had that kind of morning, right, where we just don't know what's
Right?
going to happen next.
A little bit of everything.
So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. So, yes, we are here. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It is super important that this is recognized. I wear a lot of hats in this county. I'm a constant observer at our ED. I'm also on our school board, and our county is struggling. We have a lot of folks who are struggling with mental health, and so it's very important that we recognize Mental Health Awareness Month, because the more conversations we can have, the more we can destigmatize mental health, which will help people reach out, talk about it, get help, get support, and hopefully keep them alive and well. And so that's why every May and every September, you will see me in here with resolutions for either Mental Health Awareness Month or Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
Yeah. And I know you hear it from me every single time I'm here, but talking about the interconnectedness between mental health and pretty much any other outcome that we are looking at, whether it be addiction, whether it be suicide, it all plays together. So the more that we can be aware of our mental health and the mental health of those around us, which is going to look different for everybody. Self-care is going to look different for everybody. Positive mental health is going to look different for everybody. But the more that we can be aware of that and the more that we can support each other and recognize that, it really makes all the difference in the world for being able to create just a healthier community overall.
Thank you. Questions or comments, commissioners?
Sarah, would you mind describing the name of the training? Has flown out of my head, but I took your training about how to talk to people if you're worried that they're suicidal. Would you mind talking about that?
Yes, so that is QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer, and Amanda and I both are QPR trainers. So that is basically a 60 to 90 minute, pretty high level overview of, like you said, how to talk to someone that you are concerned might be suicidal, which is basically asking the question, Q, so asking directly about suicide. Are you considering suicide? Persuade, how do you persuade someone to stay safe for now? How do you persuade someone to seek help? And then making a referral to professional services to someone who does have that toolbox to really be able to help in depth beyond the 60 to 90 minute training. Would you like to add more about QPR?
The other feature that it has is you get to know all of the different warning signs or clues, as they like to call them, so that you can start to pick up on behaviors or other contextual clues that somebody might be exhibiting to know when to ask that question.
Thank you. Somebody asked me recently or earlier this week if I know you, Amanda, and so you came up in a conversation and
Oh, I don't know if that's a good thing.
it is a good thing, which is why I brought it up in this meeting. What I said is that I very much value the work that you do in suicide prevention in our community, and it has been a pleasure for me to work with you, and that I consider you a local hero. And I would add Sarah to this list because there aren't very many people who literally may help someone change their mind about suicide, who literally may be the reason that someone, a young person, an adult, anyone, decides not to kill themselves. And you two do that work in our community, which is truly heroic. And a lot of us care about the issue, but not a lot of us have direct impacts in other people's lives in that way. And so I celebrate you both. I applaud your work, and I'm really grateful for both of you in this community and the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner Bell.
I'm trying not to cry over here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I would agree with everything she said. I want to thank you for your work, because this is an issue that affects every single person in the community, every one of us, families, everybody knows someone who's dealt with this kind of issue. So thank you again for your work.
Thank you.
And I share the sentiments of my colleagues. I want to tease out one other piece of it, which is that today we're talking about Mental Health Awareness Month. And one of the things I remember is probably Frank, who came on one of the first times that we talked about this, and we were having some good conversation. And it was a reminder that mental health is no different than physical health.
Right.
So some days we wake up and we think, I don't feel good today, right? I have a cold, I have a cough, I have a fever, my body aches, whatever it is. And when that happens for us, we say, I'm going to stay in bed, or I'm going to see the doctor, right? We don't question that and say, well, I should just be okay. I have to get up and keep going. There is no, it's shameful for me to not be physically okay. We don't do that to ourselves, or maybe some do, but not at the level, not societally. The way if we wake up and say, I don't really feel good today mentally. I'm not where I want to be. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling anxious, whatever it is that's happening for us, because it's not a physical ailment where we can go and get some Theraflu. We tend to say, I just have to buck up and go on. This is not something I should talk to anyone about. It's not something that I should go and see a provider about. But in reality, our physical health is no different than our mental health. We're going to have good mental health days, and we're going to have bad mental health days. And they're all on a spectrum, right? As to how good or bad the day is going for us, where's our mental health? It's a day by day for everyone. But the stigma doesn't allow us to talk about it that way. The stigma says, oh, you are mentally ill. And that's a bad thing. And it says something terrible about you, and I should be careful
Right.
about you, right? And so societally, for us to really make that shift to say mental health and physical health are the same in so many ways. They are tied together in so many ways. And if we would think about getting a help for a physical ailment, why would we not think about asking for help with a mental health ailment? It's how do we get to that place? So I appreciate you bringing the conversation to us, because as you said earlier, Amanda, the stigma of mental health, right? Making it mean something bad about a person instead of just an awareness that we all have that we're going to have good days and bad days. So I want to tease that out because I think that it's a really important part of the conversation. And again, I appreciate you both, because that's what you make possible through the work that you do in the community, and continuing to have these conversations, having the events where people can come and say, I'm not feeling great today mentally. I want to engage with this and to get positive feedback to say, we're here to help. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bell, would you like to read the proclamation as part of our motion?
I would. In the matter of proclaiming the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Tillamook County, this matter came before the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners on May 7, 2025, at the request of Amanda Farrat of the Tillamook County Suicide Prevention Coalition. The board, being fully apprised, finds as follows. May is nationally recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month and was established in 1949 by Mental Health America. The third Thursday in May is Mental Health Action Day. Green is the color used for mental health awareness. Mental health awareness is important because it reduces the stigma and discrimination associated with mental illness and seeking treatment. It also offers education and support for family and friends of those who are struggling with their mental health. Mental health is a public health concern that can affect community members of all ages. 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year, and 1 in 6 U.S. youth aged 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year, as reported by the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Oregon was ranked 35th in 2024 regarding prevalence of mental health amongst adults and 49th out of 51 in youth, according to Mental Health America. Oregon ranks 51st overall in prevalence of mental illness. These ratings indicate a higher prevalence of mental illness and lower rates of access to care. An inadequate mental health system affects individuals, families, and communities. With effective behavioral health treatment, community members who experience mental health challenges can recover and lead a full life. If you're experiencing challenges with your mental health, we encourage you to speak with your health provider about options for mental health services. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims May to be Mental Health Awareness Month in Tillamook County, Oregon. That's a motion.
And I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to item 7, which is consideration of a resolution in the matter of proclaiming May 9th, 2025 as Provider Appreciation Day in Tillamook County, Oregon. And I think we have Eva Manderson, Director of Northwest Regional Child Care Resource and Referral. I'm looking to see if she's online with us today. I know she was traveling, and I know she was hoping to be online. I'm going to guess where she's traveling may not have had the cell phone coverage that she was hoping for. So I will go ahead and carry this if you all are good with that. May 9th is Provider Appreciation Day. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull some things through a proclamation, and then I'll speak a little bit more. But Child Care Aware of America and other organizations nationwide are recognizing child care providers on this day. And we recognize child care providers because they support children's growth, development, and educational advancement and create positive economic impact for families and communities. So we know in Tillamook County that we are in a child care desert. We have a really challenging space for our workforce to find childcare, and we know that childcare is absolutely crucial. The development of children starts obviously in the womb, but the early years of their life are the ones that are most impactful and influential in setting how the rest of their life will go. And childcare providers are highly trained professionals who make sure that the right stimulation, the right food, the right care is all there for children to have the best outcome. It is a really difficult job, and it's probably one of the most underpaid professions that I can think of. So as we look at this being Provider Appreciation Day for May 9th, I think it is really important to talk about and recognize the professionalism that comes with our child care providers. This is a career. Early childhood education is a science. It's not just about warehousing little ones until they go to school. There's a much more involved there. So I want to thank everyone in our community who cares for children. It is an absolutely crucial piece of the work that needs to be done. So with that, commissioners, questions or comments?
I absolutely agree with you. It's extremely important and also underpaid, sadly. And I've thought about it. I've thought about it recently because I had a conversation with somebody about early childhood education training and to educate the providers and how people can go to school for a couple of years and then work in a low-paying job. And I've thought about that, and what I don't know what the solution is, but it seems to me like the system really needs to be adjusted so that people can make a living wage, but also so that the parents can afford to pay for it. So our system is out of balance when people can't afford to pay for childcare and childcare workers can't afford to live on the wages. So, given all of that, I'm particularly grateful that we have wonderful people working in this field taking care of our children, because what's more important than that?
Thank you.
I would agree with you. I also think that, in some ways, we overregulated this business, and a lot of the smaller childcare centers had to close. My kids were watched by somebody who would watch a few children, and they're not allowed to do that much with insurance and stuff like that. So it is really hard to find childcare. And I am grateful for the people that we have.
Agreed. And one of the things that Child Care Resource and Referral does, which is really helpful, is work with in-home providers who are struggling to make their business work. Child Care Resource and Referral is available to help support them in a business model that will make their child care center or their child care in-home business work for them. So if you're a child care provider, I'm sure you're not able to watch us today, but hopefully somebody will be talking to you because I know what you're doing and it's not this. You're taking good care of somebody's prized possession, but recognizing that Child Care Resource and Referral, of which Eva is the director, is there to help our child care providers so that they can have a viable business, so that they can receive the supports they need to really take good care of kiddos. So I just would encourage people to reach out to that organization if you are, or if you're interested in becoming a child care provider. They also have resources to support with that. So with that editorialization, I guess that's the chair's prerogative, right? So with that, would you mind reading the proclamation as our motion?
I think you have it in front of you.
Oh, you're right. Here, you want it back? Sorry.
Okay.
Gosh, we need Rachel, don't we? Look at us, just falling apart left and right.
Madam Chair, in the matter of proclaiming May 9th, 2025 as Provider Appreciation Day in Tillamook County, this matter came before the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners on May 7th, 2025 at the request of Eva Manderson, Director, Northwest Regional Child Care Resource and Referral. The board, being fully apprised, finds as follows. Child Care Aware of America and other organizations nationwide are recognizing child care providers on this day. The child care system supports children's growth, development, and educational advancement and creates a positive economic impact for families and communities. Tillamook County recognizes that child care has been and continues to be a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy. Support for affordable, accessible, high-quality child care represents a worthy commitment to help families be successful, support children's healthy development and learning, and keep our economy growing. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims May 9th, 2025 as Provider Appreciation Day in Tillamook County, Oregon, and encourages all citizens to recognize child care providers for their important work.
And I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. We will move on to item 8, consideration of an intergovernmental subaward agreement with the Oregon Judicial Department for the 27th Judicial District Treatment Specialty Court Program. We have Christopher Hamilton, Trial Court Administrator from the Tillamook Circuit Court with us. Good morning, Christopher.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for having me. This at its face is what it is. It's a pass-through of existing budgeted money so we can accept the funding to allow our coordinator to attend the National Association of Drug Court Professional Training. It had been planned for. This is a grant that was successful by the county, which of course judicial can't accept the funds in its entirety, but this is a pass back through. In previous years, we haven't had to do this, but it's a formality for accounting apparently. But I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioners?
None for me.
None from me.
None for me. We appreciate the specialty court program and the partnership we have. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Your motion? Madam Chair, I move approval of an intergovernmental subaward agreement with the Oregon Judicial Department for the 27th Judicial District Treatment Specialty Court Program.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you,
Christopher.
Christopher.
Thank you all. We appreciate the partnership.
Okay, we will move on to item 9, Consideration of an order in the matter of changing customer and franchise rates for municipal solid waste, yard debris, and commingled recycling disposal at the Tillamook, Manzanita, and Pacific City transfer stations. We have Justin Weiss, our program manager, solid waste. Good morning, Justin.
Morning, Commissioners. Nice to see you all in person this morning.
And you?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, to this morning we have an order for an increase in our rates across the board for solid waste, which does include yard debris, franchise rates, public hauling rates. Last week I was in front of you. We had a $2, 2%, roughly $1.55 increase per ton for Don G. Averill to haul our garbage to the Coffin Butte landfill, which is something we're working on in terms of a new location. I've had some good calls lately as to where, and we've talked about that in the past with that closing. I did hear recently the incinerator was closed a little bit unexpectedly, and so that shortened the lifespan by a couple years, and so even more critical. So we're continuing the good work on finding a solution there. But for now, to cover our increased expenditures for hauling garbage out of the county, we do have to keep up in terms of fees charged to cover those costs. So we have a $2 increase across the board for franchise hauling, self-haulers. We are going to keep the minimum at a $25 charge. So if you do bring small quantities of garbage, we're not going to increase that minimum fee. But the price will increase at a more rapid rate once you go over the minimal threshold for the garbage. So we do want to keep the minimum at 25. Another item of note is the commingled recycling fee, which is again going up $2 to $113.55 per ton for the franchise haulers, and a lot of that is the commingled that's collected. We do have a smaller quantity of commingled. Here in Tillamook, we do have a lot of carts that are deployed throughout the rest of the county. We don't have a lot of curbside recycling yet, but with the new recycling law coming on board, we're going to see some more expansion of curbside recycling. And so that commingled rate is something, and it does say in here, outlined by reflect market changes in accordance with the formula outlined to SWAC. And so with the new recycling law coming on board, there is going to be some cost savings with transportation, hopefully finding more lucrative markets that will get more money in return for our recyclable materials. So there's a high probability that that commingled rate, depending on the July 1st implementation date and then the distribution of funds 1 month, 2 months, 3 months after, we're not sure when the money is going to really trickle down to us. So we're still in kind of a holding pattern. And so July 1st, the new law will kick off, but we're going to see an implementation period. And so I do think that commingled rate will hopefully come down as we receive more money from the recycling law, from the manufacturers to help cover some costs for increased recycling here in Tillamook County. So everything else I think is pretty cut and dry. We're seeing 2% across the board, and happy to answer any questions if you do have any.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner?
I do
Starting
not.
with you.
I have a quick, what is the weight for the minimum for the $25? How much weight?
Currently, $25 will get you 189 pounds of municipal solid waste, and then it goes up about 7 cents per pound after that threshold.
Okay, and is ODS still issuing the yard debris vouchers? Are we still? is that
They
still
are, yeah.
going
April
forward?
1st deployment date. They have a new funding source. There's a little bit more data tracking on our end, which is fine. But yeah, April 1st was a big kickoff, and over the last 2 weeks, you've seen a big uptick in the amount of yard debris coming in at the
I just
transfer
want people to
stations.
know they could do that. Where can they pick those up?
We have vouchers at the Public Works office. We drop some off at the local co-op here in town. Manzanita and Pacific City transfer stations have forms on site. And so you can give me a call if you're unable to locate any, but ODF office down the road as well. So multiple locations throughout the county.
Perfect, thank you.
Great. And so just circling back on the Coffin Butte conversation, so do we have a timeline by when that, that they're now estimating that we will have to haul somewhere else?
Yeah, I heard 7 to 10. I heard 5 from someone a little bit more concerned. And there's an intergovernmental, I know Jesse with Heart of Cardam, who's on our SWAC board, is in a group that's working on this. Also, Benton County reached out to me maybe a year ago. We've had a couple meetings on with the smaller rural communities. We all go to Coffin Butte, and so we're trying to work together and be smarter and not work harder to find another solution. I know typically when these kind of garbage islands occur, trains get involved, and we ship them across state lines, and it gets very cost-intensive, fossil fuels to ship things, and so like to avoid that, but we are
Yeah.
constrained by what's nearby.
Conversations that have happened at the county commissioner level, at the state level, because we all get together. And
Right.
of course, I think it's our Wheeler County commissioners, we're happy to share that they have plenty of landfill space out in Central Oregon, so, and North Central. So I'm just, continuing to be curious and making sure that we are being thoughtful toward the future with that and don't end up in a situation where fast decisions have to be made, or we're not able to find the best solution. So thank you
Yes.
for working on that now
Completely agree.
ahead of the need. Appreciate that greatly. The other question I have is the new recycling law kicks in July 1. When will people here in Tillamook County see that ability to add recycling curbside outside of the city in areas where they haven't before? I know that's probably the big question people have is, when does it come to me
Yes.
specifically?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of good meetings with DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, and CAA, Circular Action Alliance, who's the nonprofit. They're funded by all the manufacturers, and so they're coordinating the program throughout the state. And so a lot of good meetings. There's a lot of moving parts, funding agreements between different jurisdictions and private organizations. July 1 is the implementation date. The latest DEQ direction does provide a 6-month grace period of learning, fact-finding. There's not going to be any fines. It's going to be more of a hand-holding and working together to get the law up and running. It is a new infrastructure. There's only a handful of these laws across the country, so it is kind of a learning process as we move forward. So currently, on July 1st, we're going to work with City Sanitary, who's the Tillamook provider, to submit for new carts and new signage. So we'll be getting new carts to expand services, and then new signage, which will include the new expanded list of what can go in your curbside bins. And so we request that on July 1. Maybe the carts arrive in mid-August, and then we put the new stickers. So maybe there's a September 1st deployment date of the new commingled list. And we do have some new recycling deploying in Garibaldi, Bay City, some small pockets there. And so we'll be working with our sanitary as well on that. So it's really up in the air, Commissioner Scar. We're going to get July 1, we're going to request the funds. We've got all our funding agreements signed and submitted, so we're ready to, I can allocate funds to our sanitary and city sanitary to buy the bins and so forth. So it's going to be kind of a rolling implementation process. And with the Home and Garden Show a few weeks ago, that was the message we were conveying to people, is that things are going to change. It's going to be a 6-month kind of implementation period. We'll be doing outreach via the county as well as the haulers about what's on the new list, when you can start putting those in there. So it's a bit of a black box, and DEQ's acknowledged that. So we're working together with them closely, but I can't say for sure when there'd be a hard implementation date on it.
So people should just stay aware, keep their eyes open. It will probably come to them when it's their turn. There will be
Yes.
information coming to them to saying, we're excited to add your community, your
Yes.
street, your whatever.
And will that information be on like your website?
We're going to go big. We'll do a headlight herald. There's some funding in the agreement to do education and outreach. We can get $3 per capita per individual. So I've submitted for that funding, so we could get up to $40,000 for education and outreach. It is earmarked for certain purchases and certain applications. But yeah, I think we'll do headlight herald, website, do a big push. It's going to be a big change and a little bit of a learning curve for everyone. So we'll do a big media campaign on that, most definitely.
You're gonna be at the fair?
We haven't been at the fair in a long time, but they've reached out last year and really wanted us to come. They were offering to really help us. It's just staffing was a big issue. The master recyclers weren't able to attend. We have a more robust master recycler group this year, and Jesse with Heart of Cardam. We both expressed interest in being at the fair. It's the biggest event in the county. I think it's important, and especially with the new recycling law to spread the word.
I'd love to see that. I mean, you had a great presence at the Home and Garden. It'd be great to have that at the fair with that much more traffic.
Agreed, yeah. So we'll work on that.
Perfect, thank you. Didn't mean to put you on the spot with the
No,
questions.
I
to which
expected
there
that.
are no
Yeah.
answers right yet, because the state is working with you.
Yeah, but moving in a positive direction.
I do have a question.
Sure.
I was surprised to read that the garbage incinerator in Brooks was closing abruptly. So I wonder if you know any story about that.
I do not. Yeah, I heard from Brett Dye with Nestucco Valley Sanitary, who's attending our SWAC meetings, the news, and then I reached out to a couple people, but I haven't heard the exact. And what I did hear was that it wasn't enforcement related. It wasn't something that they did to step into any trouble. It was kind of a mystery or financial. I don't know, but
So this is the one down in the Marion County, or is this a different one?
I believe,
Probably
yeah,
no.
Marion County, yeah.
In Brooks,
And I had heard it
off of
was,
101.
yeah, that it
mean,
was
I-
a business
Was it a
issue.
business decision? Okay.
Yeah, that it was a business issue, is what I had heard from our Marion County commissioners. So,
Too bad.
yeah, I think there had been some subsidy and other things that had been helping it stay running that were no longer available, if I'm not mistaken. So don't quote me on that. Can't say for sure, but I believe it was business related. Again, also not enforcement related. So, yeah, but it has a huge impact. One of the pieces, and I think Commissioner Fournier, I think I brought this up to you as well. I think it's evidence was one of the things that went to the
Oh, yeah,
incinerator
absolutely.
that came out of law enforcement, and it was one of a very few places.
Very few places to
that you were-
dispose of that.
able to dispose of it. So it has not only has impacts for Coffin Butte and in general just across, the state for capacity, but also some very specific capacity.
And for the pharmaceutical turn-ins when people between an
Right.
opioids, that's where they're.
That's where they went, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
hoping to do
it
some,
has far-reaching effects.
collection events for medications and sharps, and that was the typical disposal
Right.
point. So that kind of put a wrench in those plans. But we're hoping to do one in the fall because sharps disposal is something I'm really working on. There's a big need in the community for diabetics and affordable solutions for disposal because it does get expensive to buy those medical containers and then continually dispose of them.
Yeah,
So.
it does. That's, yeah.
In fact, will you talk about that for a minute? Because somebody just recently asked me about that. What am I supposed to do with used syringes? And I said, don't put them in the garbage. And they said, well, what am I supposed to do with them? I said, Sharps container. And that was the beginning and end of my knowledge on the subject. So will you talk about that for just a minute? What
Yeah,
are people supposed to do? with
Commissioner
them?
Bell, that was good direction. Approved container is definitely preferred. So the red biohazard containers that most people have seen are the preferred disposal route. So at the Public Works office at 503 Marlrolf Loop, where I am located, you can come on down, and we do sell prepaid packaged 3-gallon Sharps containers. So they come in a box about this big. The shipping label's on top. We do charge $25 to cover our fee, but that gets you shipping and 3 gallons worth of disposal. So those are available at the office there. And then the city sanitary yard here in town does accept Sharps containers for disposal. I do believe they have to be in the red biohazard container. Some of my years down in California through the hazardous waste programs, they would do them in laundry detergent bottles or any hard, rigid plastic, just to keep for the poking concerns. But we're going to stick with the red containers for now, but I'd love some flexibility in that because that's another barrier to participation in disposal. But city sanitary, give them a call, check. I believe it's $10 per 3 gallons or a rate, and I think it has to be in the red biohazard containers. I'll have to look into that. But city sanitary, the Public Works office, and then perhaps Commissioner Four, you may know, I don't think the sheriffs, they just do the
don't have-
medications in the, yeah.
There's medication drop-off.
Yeah, so really locally, those are the only two great options. For medications, we do have a more robust mail-back program, and the libraries have options there. But with Sharps, those are really the main two centrally located throughout the rest of the county, and not a lot of great options. So that is preferred. And they also do sell those online. You can buy the red biohazard containers through Amazon, I believe, with the shipping label. I think you're going to pay a bit more of a premium, so maybe better to come to Public Works. But those are the most prominent two options currently.
Thank you for talking about that. And I appreciate what you just said about the possibility of moving to a system where people could use laundry soap containers that are rigid plastic because of course, safety is primary, but also it fits in with recycle and reuse, right? Because there's a lot of plastic going into recycling from laundry soap containers. So that seems like it has real potential.
Yeah, we're going to be going out for bid for a new hazardous waste service provider. And so at our facility here in Tillamook, we're having 6 events this year for hazardous waste disposal. And as I mentioned at my previous jobs, we did accept them through that program in various containers that meet some standards. And so as we're procuring a new service provider, perhaps we could include Sharps, depending on cost and some other factors. But that would be extremely convenient. I think we'd get a huge influx, but we'll look into that, yeah.
Thank you.
Can I put you on the spot for a second?
You can always put me on the spot.
Can we use any of that opioid money for stuff like this, for Sharps disposals?
Not unless we were able to basically prove that this is a best practice and that it is really for opioid treatment. So if we were
Trying
going
to
to
find
make
you
it,
some money.
I know generally available to diabetics and others, no. If we were going to use it at our harm reduction event and they were going to have a Sharps container specifically,
think about.
which I'm guessing they do. I mean, I admittedly don't know, but I'm going to guess our harm reduction events, which occur in Tillamook County, probably have Sharps because they do needle exchange. And so I'm presuming they have a Sharps container there. And if someone came to the harm reduction event and said, I have needles, I don't imagine they would turn you away. But again, that is money specific for harm reduction. So, it's a little, because I know CARE used to have them. I can't speak to whether or not they do anymore. We used to have Sharps containers there, and that was both for low-income individuals who were diabetics, as well as if there were street, users that needed to take care of their needles from, other substances.
Anyways, great conversation. I did not even know that you sold those there and you had that you provided that service of the sharp continue. So that's great.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback. I think we could do, I've been getting more calls as of late for whatever reason. I think we could do a better job. And I had it at the Home and Garden Show, and we had a lot of conversations about the red containers. So we're gonna do a little more outreach on that and try to
Great.
drum up some new, appreciate the funding question, but yeah, we're gonna
we'll
call
do
around
some- we'll do
and
some
see
more
what's
check.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
It's definitely a community health issue for sure.
Yeah,
and
oh.
It's,
Most definitely,
it touches upon so many things.
right.
Right, yeah, and I don't know if public health has them available. So that's another question we ought to be asking is, through our public health department with Rocky, do they have them available?
Because we don't want them on the street.
Because we don't want them on the
In the
street. We don't really
parks.
care where they come
Right.
from at the beginning, right? We want to make sure they're not on the
That's-
streets and
that's
they're
it.
not dumped in the forests and,
Playgrounds and garbage cans.
right, because whether you are someone who lives on the streets and a user with nowhere to put them, or whether you are a diabetic who's exceptionally low income and unable to afford disposal, either way, what ends up with those is they end up somewhere they should not be. So, yeah, or you might even have the money, you just don't know. You just don't know how to deal with them, right? So the more we can spread that word around and those resources for assistance, the better.
Mhm.
So thank you for that.
Good
We'll look forward to
conversation.
that. Yeah, and encourage you to maybe poke out to some of those community partners we've mentioned today to see if they may be able to help in areas where you all are not.
Yes, will do.
Thank you. Okay, I
Appreciate it.
think we were actually working on something specific here before we had such good conversation. Apparently, we have to have you come more often for good conversation.
Yeah,
I
will, I
believe
will.
we are ready for motion on item number 9.
Before I read the motion, I just, almost
At
ready.
least got like
We're
3 more
almost
issues.
ready. I just want to offer the feedback that somebody specifically who was at the Home and Garden Show, because I wasn't, somebody who was there specifically told me, I just want you to know that Solid Waste was at the Home and Garden Show and they were doing such a good job and lots of people went to their booth and they were really great. And so it was nice to get that shout out from a community member. So I wanted to share it.
Yes, thank you. As we talked last week, it's great to see people in person, have that face-to-face interaction with the community, and yeah, it's different. We're so digitalized now with all our Zoom meetings. It's good to go out and shake some hands and see some familiar faces and meet some new people. So we're definitely going to make a strong effort to be at the fair because I think it's important with the new recycling law and just being out there with the new master recyclers and being a public-facing part of the county. So we're going to keep working on that. So thank you, Commissioner Bell.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, now
All
we're
right,
ready.
Now we're ready. Madam Chair.
Oh,
I move approval of order number 25-020, SWSD number 25-011, in the matter of changing customer and franchise rates for municipal solid waste, yard debris, and commingled recycling disposal at the Tillamook, Manzanita, and Pacific City transfer stations.
I second that.
we have a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Listen,
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Dustin. Okay, we are moving on to item 10, consideration of an order in the matter of the appointment of members to the Tillamook County Road Advisory Committee. Jasper Lind, Engineering Technician, Public Works. Good morning, Jasper.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. We have a couple of vacancies on our County Road Advisory Committee right now. We currently have Marilyn Rusink, who is an individual living out here in Oceanside and volunteers at the Latimer Quilt and Textile Center, as well as for the Tillamook Bay Community College Foundation. Our second candidate for the other spot is Kenneth Cully, and he is the president of the Three Rivers Road District down just outside of Hebo in our community. We believe both these people are well qualified and will be an excellent addition to the County Road Advisory Committee.
Perfect, thank you. Questions, comments, Commissioner?
No, I read the application and I think they did great. Appreciate their willingness to step up and do it. So
As
Indeed.
do I. I'm grateful.
As am I. I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of order number 25-021 in the matter of the appointment of members to the Tillamook County Road Advisory Committee.
and I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 11. Consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a prevailing wage rate contract for the Legler Temporary Bridge Project. Brian Ollie, Engineering Project Manager, Public Works. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Commissioners. Yeah, so the Wagler Temporary Bridge Project, quick little history, is to replace existing flat rack bridges on Barber Road that are load rated at 10 tons. Barber Road is located off Highway 53 in North Tillamook County. This project will remove those flat racks and move and install 4 60-foot concrete beams that are coming off one of the Miami Foley Road Bridge projects at Crystal Creek. The call for bids went out and we received 5 responsive bids. And of those bids, Public Works would recommend awarding that contract to the lowest bidder, which is Farline Bridge Incorporated, in the amount of $69,380. And that contract will be presented at the next board meeting following the end of the protest period.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Fine, I just want to clarify, so we're reusing the bridge, the temporary bridge from Miami Foley for this project?
Yes, which the bridge beams on Miami Foley were a temporary bridge as well from a blowout that happened last winter, 2023 or 4. And so in my time with Tillamook County, and we have a yard full of various bridge beams and rail car flat rack style bridges that we deploy in these emergency situations. So Chris and Public Works over the years has got it down to a science of shuffling these beams around.
No, I think it's fantastic. I just wanted to make note of that, because I've known that
Yep.
he's out there looking for used bridges.
Yeah.
The fact that we have more than almost any other county, I think it's a great use of people always think government's wasting, and here we are
Yeah.
literally recycling
Yeah.
bridges. So I appreciate that effort too. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually some of these this effort and to coordinate time wise, because we had to bring some of those off of the Miami Foley project will come back to the yard, but we were able to kind of get this thing together while they were doing that work on Miami Foley and move them not far away to Barber Road. So
fantastic.
Those cranes are very expensive.
Yeah, thank you.
I share my colleagues' appreciation. I was just sitting here thinking, I'm so glad that we're able to reuse those materials, and it's just so prudent. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, as am I. I think we used some of our ARPA money to buy bridge beams when they
Right.
became available.
We did.
Which anybody watching might have been like, I'm sorry, what? But right, this is why, because we have way more bridges than anybody else, I think, and a lot more failures, unfortunately, over time with our weather. So, all right, I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of order number 25-022 in the matter of a notice of intent to award a prevailing wage rate contract for the Lagler Temporary Bridge Project.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we get to keep Brian with us as we move on to item 12, consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a prevailing wage rate contract for construction for the East Creek Road retaining wall project.
Yes, so this is another storm event. This one you guys may be a little more familiar with since it's been going since 2015 and that federally declared storm. So the East Creek Road retaining wall project is to remedy a recurring slide on East Creek Road that had a complete failure in that 2015 storm. East Creek Road is off Moon Creek Road, which is east of the town of Beaver. This project will install 190 feet of mechanically stabilized earth MSE wall adjacent to that gravel road. And that project will be reimbursed by FEMA at 75%. During that call for bid, we received 2 responsive bids. And of those 2 bids, Public Works would recommend awarding the low bidder, Lida Excavating Incorporated, in the amount of $898,190. And that contract would also be presented at the next board meeting following the end of that protest period. Questions?
Any questions?
No, I'm grateful that we're able to get this work done 10 years later.
FEMA's paying for a lot of it.
Yes, FEMA's paying for 75%, and I'll just note that it's not Public Works lag that caused the 10-year delay. We're waiting for the funding from FEMA.
Yes. We're almost done with the 2015 storm, and we're getting
Yeah.
to the last few
Yeah.
pieces, right? Which is
Yeah.
also scary because does it mean we're ready for the next one, right? Don't say that.
Yeah. Right.
Commissioners, I am ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of order number 25-023 in the matter of a notice of intent to award a prevailing wage rate contract for construction for the East Creek Road retaining wall project.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item 13, consideration of a professional services agreement with Trail Keepers of Oregon for the design, plans, and coordinate reconstruction of the Short Beach Trail project.
Yes, and so this one is not a storm event, and it's more recently come to light. So this is the Short Beach Trail project for design and construction. That trail is in Oceanside between Cape Mears Loop. It is on Cape Mears Loop Road between Oceanside and Cape Mears Lighthouse. Kind of one of the local, trails that not a lot of people know about, but it's a really good one. This came to light with some safety concerns and the steps, if any of you guys have been on that, are in need of repair. So the costs in construction of this one will be 100% funded by the PED Bike Fund. And Public Works has been in communication with the members of that Oceanside Trail Group and community, and through this project, we'll work with them. And we intend to utilize them as volunteers as well for the construction of this. And so Public Works would recommend the professional service agreement with Trail Keepers of Oregon in the amount of $51,529 to prepare the design plans and coordinate the reconstruction of that trail. Any questions?
Questions?
I remember that trail was built by one individual. It began with one individual out there back in the 90s when I was in the fire department out there. It was amazing. We go there every day. It's a great trail. It is very popular locally. I'm really happy to see that. It is crazy dangerous. I was just there last week. And I love that it's still there and it's risky, and that's part of the appeal of it. It's a really rugged trail. So hopefully they'll make it safer, but keep some of that element there of it being kind of a handmade plastic trail. So I'm excited about this project. I think it's a great use of that ODOT funding to think outside the box of normal pedestrian and bicycles type stuff. So I'm excited for that because I use it. So you know.
I'm also excited about this. I was on a ride along with Chris maybe a year ago when we went by the trail and looked at it, and Public Works had to sign it at that point and say, not safe, do not pass. And we heard from a lot of citizens about, hey, we love this trail, we need this trail, we got to fix this trail. So I'm pleased that we found a solution to fix the trail.
I agree. This was sort of the poster child for recreational immunity issues. I mean, it really was. We closed it because as recreational immunity was removed in that moment, this was simply not, it was just too dangerous. So we would like to think that we're in a world we could say, traverse at your own risk, but that is not the world in which we live. So this was really important. And I just also speak to Trail Keepers of Oregon. I've been working with them through the State Forest Trust. They are working on the Wilson River Trail that you keep hearing me talk about, the extension of that. Great organization. They just did a pub talk here a couple weeks ago talking about Trail Keepers and how they do what they do. They have only 3.5 employees for their organization. The rest is done by volunteers, as will this effort. So their employees will be the ones that lay out the trail and do the technical part of it. And then there will be work parties. So I think this is a great opportunity for people in Tillamook County to learn about Trail Keepers of Oregon. And I hope that the work parties here will include many of us for whom this trail is important and we love it, and help our organization or our community just become more familiar with Trail Keepers. They really are a great organization doing huge amounts of work all across the state. They work, they have one employee in Southern Oregon, one employee in Central, and one employee in North, and they go all the way back and forth, east to west, across the state. So The trail that was built from Manzanita up to the connector to Neocani Mountain, that was built by Trail Keepers of Oregon. So, I mean, they're, again, great organization. So I'm pleased we're able to contract with them and also pleased to have this trail be rebuilt. And I don't think there's any way to not make it rugged. I'm just saying.
You're right.
The hill goes like this,
Yeah.
so best of luck to them if they're gonna try to not make it rugged. I
Yep.
believe we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with the Trail Keepers of Oregon for the design plans and coordinate reconstruction of the Short Beach Trail project.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, Brian, appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 14, which is consideration of Housing Production Solution Funds Grant Agreement number 2025-HPSF-2 with Terry Phillips for the National Building Project. Parker is also traveling today and was also going to try to find cell phone coverage, but I do not see him, so I will take the next two as well. They are exactly as they state in their title, the grants to go with the Housing Production Solutions Fund. We've seen those presentations by Parker. This one is the downtown project of Terry Phillips. If there are any questions?
Oh, I peeked my head in there. I poked my head in there the other day, and it's coming along great. It looks great. I'm excited for that project.
As am I. I haven't been in it recently, but I toured the vacant building several years ago, and it's a really cool space.
really is.
The upstairs in particular is a very cool space, and so I'm excited that we'll have some urban Tillamook apartment options. It's really a great use of these historic buildings.
I agree, and Lisa did her 4 over the dance studio, and they're all full. So I have no doubt that there is a desire and a need for this downtown, which I've heard other people say, like, who wants to live downtown Tillamook? But people do.
They do, and
It
it'll
is-
change the old downtown to be, it'll be way more vibrant.
It will. I mean, that is part of it. It's sort of which comes first, the chicken and the egg. And I think that Terry's done a lot of great work on a number of buildings
True.
downtown, right? To kind of drive this renaissance, if you will, of downtown Tillamook. And this is another key piece. So-
Great description.
Yeah, I'd like to just add to that my gratitude to Terry in particular, to everyone who invests in our community. But Terry Phillips has made an extraordinary investment in the city of Tillamook in so many downtown buildings and also houses.
Yeah.
And so it's really a tremendous service to our community, and I'm grateful.
Yeah. And, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And this is a great example of why the Housing Commission is so great. The work that they're doing, using TLT, permit money.
Yeah, not TLT.
Not
let's
TLT
be
money,
clear For anybody
But
listening,
still, STR money is being
Yes.
used to create these great spaces.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. No, this is great. And when you talk about blight, you talk about how do you get rid of blight? Well, which is the vacant buildings of downtown. The way you get rid of them is by redeveloping and bringing in the vitality. And the more that you do that, the more investment gets drawn to the community. So it takes somebody to kickstart it. And I think there have been many people involved, but Terry is one of those key people who's been kickstarting it. So,
Absolutely.
okay, ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of Housing Production Solutions Fund Grant Agreement number 2025-HPSF-2 with Terry Phillips for the National Building Project.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, one more. Consideration of Housing Production Solutions Fund Grant Agreement number 2025-HPSF-3 with Evergreen Community Partners for the Spruce Point Project. So this is the affordable housing complex in Manzanita, what is now called Spruce Point. It'll be 60 units of housing over by the golf course side of the community.
I'm excited and looking forward to it.
Me
Very
too. Super excited that there will be literally affordable housing in Manzanita.
Agreed. Yeah, this is amazing, and it's a great partnership. Again, the developers who had been putting market rate housing in there worked with the affordable housing developers, provided the land for them at a very reasonable cost, so that this could happen. So and the city of Manzanita has received funding to upgrade their wastewater so that they can get this building
Thank you,
built.
Senator Weber.
Thank you, Senator Weber, for getting that into the Capitol bill in a previous session. So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of work that went into this. This didn't just happen easily, and this is in fact the second round of funding that the Housing Commission has provided on this project because that's what it's taken to get it to where it is. So we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of Housing Production Solutions Fund Grant Agreement number 2025-HPSF-3 with Evergreen Community Partners for the Spruce Point project.
Oh, I second it, sorry.
Paul's still with us.
Thinking of something else.
Focus? Yeah, okay, here we go. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Whew. Okay, item 16 was postponed, which places us at the board concerns portion of the meeting. Are there any board concerns today?
Well, I know you have one.
I do. I have
I
one
have
to
one
share.
as well. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
I just wanted to mention, and I did it on my Facebook post, but that at the state level, the DLT, the opportunity to change the wording and the split of the 70-30 or how we spend the restricted funds is still alive. And it's in House Bill 3962-2 because of the amendment. And I wanted to encourage people to visit OLIS, which you speak of often. And we encourage people, OLIS is the Oregon Legislature Information System. And it's pretty easy to navigate once you get on there. And there is some instructions from Betsy Johnson. I know that you always mention that. But if you go to that page and you type in House HB, when you look under bills and you just type in HB 3962, you have an opportunity to testify either online, in person, or written testimony. That testimony has to be received within 48 hours, and the hearing is officially tomorrow at 3 p.m. So today would be great, tomorrow would be fine, next day would be the last day. What I would recommend is, because on Facebook I've been hearing a lot of people saying, we don't need to raise it, what we need to do is change to 70-30. Well, here's your opportunity to actually show your support. So if you want to write your testimony, testify in support of this, this is the opportunity for us to actually revisit what 70% of voters in a recent poll have determined was their desire was to revisit this and be able to use more of that restricted funds for public infrastructure, anything that's related or impacted by tourism. So public safety, public infrastructure, sewer, water, all these things that we would be able to use that money for. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's coming up fast tomorrow, House Bill 3962. So please go to OLIS. Just type in OLIS in Google and you'll find the Oregon Legislature Information System and get involved. This is a way of the public helping to help govern and change the government. And so it's exciting for me when you can provide testimony and it's there forever.
And it's easy. So, we often do a formal letter, that kind of thing. You don't actually have to. When it says provide testimony, there's actually a little box. You can just type in there your testimony. So it doesn't have to be a formal letter. You can just type in and say, I'm so-and-so from Tillamook County, and I believe that the TLT monies, that split should be revisited. We have great needs in these areas, and it will show up on this big list of testimony because it will say, are you supporting or opposing? And I imagine, I could be wrong, but I imagine that our legislators who are voting on this are not necessarily reading every piece of testimony. They are looking at the summary, which is the name of the person, whether they support or oppose, and where they're from. So if we got hundreds of people from Tillamook County to go in there, put in your name, put that you support this bill, meaning you support this change, and where you're from, boy, we could make a huge impact. Because I looked at it yesterday after Paul brought it to my attention, and all except one were opposed.
Yeah, they're opposed, and it's mostly from the valley, and it's being a big push by the industry, tourism industry, Orla and ACFA, and so I encourage our county residents to have their voices heard, because otherwise this will be decided by people outside of our county. This is a decision that they could word it and make an amendment where it affects only certain counties. There's a lot that can be done. So having that input from this county is imperative, I think.
It is
So,
exceptionally important that people get on there, and it, like I said, it doesn't have to be long. It can be a couple of sentences, but you support this bill if you would like to see us be able to use some of that 70% for infrastructure and public safety, because that's really what this bill does.
yeah, I want to thank Senator Weber and Cyrus Javidi. Representative Javidi has been working his butt off on this one.
He has.
And I mean, this is a lot of creative movement to keep this bill alive.
Yeah.
It was only mostly dead, and now
Right.
it's
'Cause
still
it
alive.
failed coming out of the House. And that's
Yes.
important to understand, is that there was a bill waiting in the Senate that could take this language in to keep it alive. So this is on life support, and without significant and additional support, it won't make it out of this committee either. And we want it to make it out of this committee. We've never gotten this far.
Right.
So
It's exciting.
please, please, please take your time, put in your 2 or 3 sentences that says, yes, this is important. I want my public safety. I want my infrastructure, meaning road, sewer, water, those kinds of things. I want this to serve not only the visitors, but me. I want to have enough, right? So this is important.
It absolutely is.
That's mine,
Yep. Nope,
and
that's
yours is
important.
equally important. So
So mine is, we've all been waiting, and I know Sean is on here, but I also know she's not feeling great today. So I will, if she wants to chime in, I will let her, but I won't put her on the spot if she doesn't want to. So we have been waiting for the last timber payment of the year to let us know where we landed. Where we landed county-wide is $1.4 million short of the ODF estimate. And where we landed specifically to the general fund of the county is $471,743.53 short of our budgeted amount of 4.5. So ODF had suggested we would receive 4.6. We reduced that down to 4.5, which is the 10-year average. We received 4,028,256. So we received basically $4 million of what they predicted would be 4.6, and we had hoped for would be 4.5. So we did some work in our budget committee earlier this year to try to bring our budget into alignment. Where this helps, it's not as low as we had thought it might be, but it is still far below our budget. We are still have expenses beyond our revenues. So this doesn't solve the problem, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
Thank you.
And that is what we're looking at. We had expected, based on the first 3 quarters, for this to be a lesser number than it is today.
meaning a bigger shortfall.
A bigger shortfall, a bigger
So,
bite
yeah.
out of our
So
reserves.
I think we can solve this. We have solutions for this, but it's not. I mean, I'm always a glass half full guy. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm glad that it didn't come in as predicted.
It didn't come in worse.
Worse.
It didn't come in worse.
I mean,
So
as most recently predicted, it was not looking good.
no, and I
That's
just do not understand how ODF does not have a better bead on who's harvesting at what time. I can't believe they can't just make a few more phone calls to say, do you expect to get those logs to harvest in this period, or to the scales in this period, and have a better layout than what they do for us? But they don't. I've pushed and shoved, and will continue to push and shove to get that. But we shouldn't have to wait for the check to show up in the mail to know how good or bad it's going to be. So that's my opinion for what it's worth. So I just wanted to let everybody know we did get that final payment that we have been waiting for, which is one of the pieces as we're laying out our budget and thinking about the next year. So we have that.
excellent. Thank you for bringing that up.
Terrific. Yep. Commissioner
Okay.
Bell, anything for you today?
Well, I
Commissioner
would
Stark.
add to the TLT
Oh, wait,
conversation.
sorry. Before we move on, Sean did raise her hand. Sean, please. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I will leave my camera off today. But yeah, it is very difficult to pin down the buyers of the timber sales when they're going to harvest those. So I can understand ODF not being able to provide that, short of hiring an additional person within the county to go out to all these different buyers. It would be very difficult to say when they were going to harvest something and at what price it may be at that time.
I still can't believe they can't do better. But that's just me. Sorry. It's a big agency. Their budget depends upon it, just like our budget depends upon it, you would think. So I appreciate your further, deeper, honest information, but maybe I just want to be a little irritated.
I'm okay. Keep
I
bothering.
agree. I agree.
Keep poking it.
As a commissioner, maybe I just want to be a little irritated. Thank you, Sean. So go ahead, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you. I just want to talk for a minute about our ballot measure 29183, which is to raise TLT tax in Tillamook County from 10% to 14%. It's on your ballots currently. If you haven't voted yet, I encourage you to vote yes for this because it's important to our budget. We've been talking about our budget here today, and I think it's important to move forward in parallel tracks. We want to advocate for the legislature to change the 70-30 split. I'm very hopeful, as my colleagues have said, it's gotten further than it's ever gotten before. People are listening, they're thinking about it. Our legislators are working hard on it, which I'm very grateful for. And so there's hope there, but we also can't put our eggs in that basket. We can't assume that's going to happen. And so it's important to our budget. And I just want to say that if I've seen so much garbage on Facebook about the ballot measure garbage is a strong word, but that's what I'm calling it because there are just bold untruths. People are just throwing stuff at the wall to see what will stick to encourage people to vote no. So I encourage people to do their own fact checking because I have just seen a slew of wildly untrue comments on Facebook that I think are being generated by the industry. What I've heard from some folks is that the industry has sent out talking points like, put this on Facebook, put that on Facebook, and people are doing it. So there's a generated no campaign. It's not organic. It's not bubbling up from Tillamook County citizens. It's coming from the industry, and people are, obviously people can vote however they want to vote, but it's the complete untruths or the partial untruths, the things that are deliberately misleading that are very annoying to me. So I just encourage people to do your own fact checking, please, and please vote.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I just want to apologize. In your case, Justin, garbage is a good thing. I saw your face. I saw you just get crestfallen when Commissioner Bell said that. But in your case, garbage is a good thing. So thank you.
Okay. If other board concerns today, because we do not have a board briefing today, so this was our opportunity to also connect with one another. Okay, then we will move on to our meetings and announcements. The board briefing scheduled for Wednesday, May 7th at 2 p.m. has been canceled. The commissioners will hold an executive session Thursday, May 8th, 2025 at 9 a.m. pursuant to ORS 109-660 sub 2 sub I to conduct a performance evaluation. The executive session will be held in the Board of Commissioners meeting room 106, 201 Laurel Avenue. The executive session is not open to the public. A public workshop of the Solid Waste Budget Committee will be held on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 12:30 p.m. The workshop will be held in the Board of Commissioners meeting room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. A public workshop of the Tillamook County Budget Committee will be held on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 1 p.m. The workshop will be held in the Board of Commissioners meeting room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. The Tillamook County Courthouse, located at 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon 97141, will undergo essential infrastructure and system upgrades to its elevator beginning Thursday, June 5th, 2025 through Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. During this time, the elevator will be out of service, but all courthouse and county offices will remain open to the public. Visitors are encouraged to call ahead for appointments and reschedule if possible to minimize disruption and ensure accessibility during the upgrade period. Accessibility accommodations include basement offices can be accessed via the rear basement ramp, A temporary front access ramp will be installed, allowing entry to the south entrance and first floor offices. And individuals requiring access to second floor services will be assisted in designated areas located on the basement or first floor, depending on the nature of the business. We appreciate the public's patience and understanding as we complete these necessary improvements to enhance accessibility and service. With that, we will adjourn this meeting of the Board of Commissioners at 10:20 a.m.
I try to resist war stories. You guys you were talking about recycling, the bridge cars.
Yeah.
One of the very first things that happened in the early nineties, they replaced the Kilchis River Bridge. And they put the pilings in, and the farmer, Jim Metcalf, who's been there forever, looked at it and says, that's not high enough. Hey, you're crazy, you know, farmer. They went out and they redid their engineered stuff and they were in fact too short. So we got all those pilings, they gave them to us and we ended up using